Right now we're going to get stuck into the newspaper zone.
Yeah, we are indeed. I think you're starting with the Irish Independent this morning.
We're going to kick things off with the Irish Independent here. And GPA grants on hold in GAA drug test trials. So this is a slightly bizarre story with two very different accounts of events. On the one hand, the GPA saying that the Sport Ireland are withholding funding due to their requirement that, as the GPA say, has been delivered at the 11th hour for players to be tested at home. Sport Ireland say that is not the case. We've been in discussion for quite a long time, actually, and you've known about this for quite a significant period of time. Seamus Hickey, who's the acting CEO of the GPA at the minute, says he's been in consultation with the GPA members and they're not keen on it. They don't want to do it. Sport Ireland are saying this is a requirement of the funding that it seems like I think all inter-county players get some level of funding. It's your progression in the various tournaments. Depends on how much you actually get, but I mean they're not huge sums of money. I think the top one is under 2,000 anyway, either way. But so it does seem, having read it, and also there's a piece in the Examiner where Seamus Hickey talks about this morning in an opinion piece that he's written there. It seems like, according to Sport Ireland, the GPA had agreed in a conversation with the GAA and Sport Ireland that they would go ahead and do this.
Sure.
But now the GPA are giving out that they haven't had enough time. So it seems like, trying to read between the timelines, that they agreed to do it and then consulted their members.
Yeah, maybe if this is an issue of the GPA saying that we're not quite ready for this, but we're in favour of it, then it's fine. But there is the kind of stench of this that it's like, oh, we're an amateur organisation, therefore our players should not be subject to higher standards in clean sport, which is a little bit of a nonsense. I know that's not exactly the point Hickey's making, to be fair, but there might be other members, there might be people around the country who are of that belief.
I think that's quite central. I think that's absolutely the point.
But it's nonsense. Yeah. It is not. Once you receive, and it, like, okay, so it doesn't matter what your income is off your sport. It doesn't matter what you're earning. If you're an amateur sport, particularly in a game that is so central to the fibre of this country, it should be held up to the highest standards of clean sport and anti-doping, no matter what you're earning. But on top of that, a high cohort of players are earning some bit of a wedge off Sport Ireland, and therefore should, without question, then be subject to the whereabouts system. Absolutely no debate about that. There is potentially a grey area about the players who are receiving nothing from Sport Ireland. Even then, I would firmly land myself on the side of the fence. I don't think they would be required to. But even then, I would still say, once you're an inter-county player, no matter what you're earning from Sport Ireland, you should be subject to the whereabouts system, because the whereabouts system helps us promote clean sport. It helps people who may be doping, if anybody is, get caught. I mean, that's what we want. We want people who are doping to fail their tests. And how are you expected to fail any tests if you are kind of managing what you're taking around games? And we know, particularly in the football championship, you play very irregularly. It is very possible. I'm not saying anybody is doing this, but I'm saying that if I'm an inter-county footballer and I want to dope, and I'm not going to be involved in, say, the Super 8s this summer, I can say, well, I'm going to play once a month. I can take whatever I'm going to take, and it'll probably be out of my system come, 6 weeks' time when we play our next championship game. Yeah. If I microdose for the next 2 weeks, and I might still be in my system 4 weeks later, I might still be getting the benefits of it. The whereabouts system is absolutely essential to clean sport. That while I say that, I'm not saying that the whereabouts system has cleaned up the sports like athletics and cycling and tennis, where we've seen some very, very famous examples of,
doorbells don't always function on this.
Doorbells are, that is the next thing we need to tackle here. Sport Ireland needs to put funding into doorbells to make sure they work.
There is a home grant scheme that allows you to sort of, insulate your house and stuff. So maybe doorbells could just become a thing.
Yeah. Well, anyway, that's kind of where I fall down.
I think that's fair enough. If you're going to get some money from them, and this is a requirement of getting that money, then that's what you got to do. So that's in the Irish Independent today, and as I said, Seamus Hickey's written about it as well in the Irish Examiner this morning. Joey Carbery also dominates the Irish Independent there, as he does in the Times Ireland. So I'm leaving to get a chance at 10, says Joey Carbery there. And I love being written off, says Bernard Brogan over on the right-hand side there, as he continues his comeback from that cruciate injury. He's hoping to get back by August. So that is the Times Ireland edition. On the Irish Times this morning, it is rugby all the way, as it tends to be certainly most Fridays when we're discussing the Irish Times. Prospect of more game time at out half sees Carbery up for Munster, writes Jerry Thornley here. And I thought quite possibly he was going to stay. Joe Schmidt's press conference yesterday, kind of saying, listen, I didn't really know very much about what was going on with that whole thing. I sat down, gave him some advice. He asked for my advice. I sat down, somebody took a cheeky pic. I don't know why he got that reference into the press conference yesterday. And on we go. So that is the Irish Times. The Irish Examiner, game changer is how the Irish Examiner are looking at it this morning. Simon Lewis and Ronan O'Gara, who is very excited, it has to be said, having read that piece today. He's uber excited about the prospect of Joey Carbery rocking up at Thomond Park. He does sort of wonder about how he fits in terms of the system at Munster, but excitement seems to be the key word around Munster today in relation to that story. The Irish Daily Mail, Carbery here as well, but Lee's big fear, another head injury may end Keegan's career. There's the Mayo footballer Lee Keegan, who's concerned at the age of 28 that another concussion may end up ending his career. And Seamus Coleman says we must take USA games seriously, that they need to arrest the slight slip-off in the momentum of the Republic of Ireland team. That's the Irish Daily Mail. The Irish News this morning, we can take a quick look at that here. Paul Grimley, the Armagh coach, criticism will inspire Armagh in the qualifiers. Reading some of those quotes a little bit earlier, suggesting that a win over the mighty Westmeath in Mullingar can really kick-start a run in the qualifiers for the Armagh footballers. I mean, I expect them to fully get it done against a bang average Westmeath team who are without a load of the best players. That'll be no indicator as to how they'll fare over the course of the rest of the championship.
That's the height of cute heroism really, coming from a Westmeath man right there.
No. I wish there was some sort of, I don't have the sort of Kerry credentials to back it up on. That's the
that is true.
That's the difficulty. And the main story of interest from the Racing Post this morning, from my point of view anyway, Maurizio Pochettino could be on Real's radar. So that is the papers from me for the minute. What have you got?
Yeah, absolutely. That's also the story on the back of the Mirror this morning. Real will poach Poch. It's Spurs' worst nightmare as Madrid make Argentine top target to replace Zidane. Of course, Zinedine Zidane stepping down as Real Madrid manager just yesterday. On the front page of the Herald Sports section then, they're focusing on the Dublin hurlers. It's do or die. D-Day as Gilroy's Dubs face relegation shootout with Faithful in Parnell Park. A massive game this weekend in the Leinster Hurling Championship. Automatic relegation, you would suspect, for whoever loses that game. On the back of the Star this morning, it's Hacksaw Bridge. Chelsea fear Abramovich ready to sever ties to Blues. Worrying times for Chelsea, or for any fans of Roman Abramovich, really. You know, the Chelsea fans that have come on board 15 years ago when the Russian took over. It may be a sad day for them to depart. As potentially Manchester City fans, it could be their next club if they decide to go on that bandwagon. It's about, we've obviously seen the story regarding the visa, that he's now an Israeli citizen and that he may not renew his UK visa and he may not be involved in the new Stamford Bridge, which is the pun, Hacksaw Bridge there, obviously. So I guess worrying times.
What's the pun?
You know the movie Hacksaw Ridge?
I know, sorry, I was going to ask you. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yeah.
Right, okay. It
was a good song as well, a very popular country and western song.
Yeah, we can do like a country western segment some morning if you want.
I'll add it these days.
The pun of the morning though is the sun. I bet that you look good on Zidane's floor. Real Klopp. Chelsea target ZZ. That's an exclusive there by Mark Irwin and Paul Jiggins, who claimed that there's going to be a bit of a managerial roundabout, which we thought was kind of Napoli, Chelsea, and kind of one person outside of the game with Sarri, Conte and Ancelotti. But now it looks like that there could be a different one involving Real Madrid, Spurs and Chelsea. So I don't know, who knows if this stuff is true or not, but certainly there's going to be a lot to talk about in the club scene.
I'm not sure Klopp is a fit for Real Madrid.
No, good point. Sorry, Liverpool involved. Like, we don't need the World Cup this summer, given this story. We don't need the World Cup. There will be enough stories given this, given Bale. Now that Klopp and Conte have been involved, everybody's going to be linked to this Real Madrid job. And is this going to be the next Real Madrid manager? I wonder. This is the back of the Guardian. Real targeting Pochettino, the Spurs manager in the frame after Zidane stuns Madrid with exit. Just one final newspaper in this morning. It is the front page of the Daily Telegraph sports section. There's Chelsea turmoil. Abramovich pulls out of the new £1 billion stadium plan. So worrying times, as we said, for Chelsea fans. Yeah.